In today's show, Deni Avdija returns to the lineup and the Blazers suffer their worst loss of the season in Washington. Let's talk about everything that went wrong. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. Coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's program, we're talking about the Blazers' worst loss of the season. You know, they lost to a pretty bad Lakers team, I guess, earlier in the year when they were super shorthanded. But because of the context of where they are in the season, this is probably the worst one. Regardless of grading them, yuck. We'll get into everything that happened with this game. Blazers lose 115-111 to the Washington Wizards. We'll get into all of that, do our fastest recap in the West, talk about break down everything that went wrong. And then I want to, at the end of the show, as we are approaching trade season, I want to ask, is it imperative that the Blazers make a deal at the trade deadline? And what would that be? What direction should that deal prioritize? We'll talk about that to close the show, kind of in light of where they are. Let's do what we do, though. Fastest recap in the West. Deni Avdija back in action. Missed a few games. He's missed 5 of the last 7 with this back injury. It is it's a real bummer. But he gets back in the lineup, and right away it's like Deni Avdija looks pretty good. He has 9 points on 3 of 4 shooting. Hits a couple threes in the first quarter. It's like, yeah. He's gonna be fine. This was, the Blazers had scored 11 and 12 points in back-to-back first quarters, and Deni Avdija had 9 on his own, and they're up 28-26 after one. They're not dominating the Wizards by any means. They had 6 turnovers in the first quarter. They didn't play particularly well, but at this point, it does not feel like the game is in any way in jeopardy. It's just it's an NBA basketball game. The Wizards are they're gonna play. They're at least going to be somewhat competitive, but this is the worst team in the NBA. Let's not get it twisted. They came in with they were 10-34 coming into this game, riding a long losing streak, 9 in a row. This is just a bad basketball team. A kind of an entertaining basketball team at times, although sometimes I watch them and they just play kind of ugly basketball. Here you go, shoot it. But they've got some athletes. They play kind of fast. They got enough guys who can create their own shot off the dribble that there's sometimes some entertaining moments. But this is the worst team in the NBA. They're in the midst of the rebuild. You need to win this game. The Blazers coming back from, they kind of get stomped by Boston, right, with such a slow start. And they kind of got stomped by the Raptors with, and both of those games were winnable down the stretch, in range in the final, 4 or 8 minutes. Certainly winnable in the fourth quarter. Heading into the final 12 minutes, both of those games imminently winnable. But they started so slow in those games, particularly the game in Boston, just a huge hole to climb out of. They weren't really in that game in a meaningful, really threatening way. They were much closer to winning that Raptors game. They certainly could have. But this is, 3-game road trip through Boston, back-to-back second night is this one in Washington, and then following along into the Knicks in New York to close the week and close the road trip on Friday. It's this game you got to win, and Deni's back in the lineup. If the Blazers are going to get where they want to go, they're not going to miss the play, and they're not really in danger of that. But if they want to give themselves a better seeding in the postseason, and et cetera, chase teams that are ahead of them in the standings, this is just a game you have to win. And they're up 2 after 1, whatever. But they're they didn't play very well. And then they led by as many as 7 in the second quarter, and they're up 38-31. And from that mark, the Wizards rip off a 22-4 run. The Blazers commit another 7 turnovers in the second quarter. And the Wizards made 11 of 23s in the first half. They're shooting the freaking lights out. Some of those are fueled by bad Blazer turnovers that are letting them get out and run. Alex Sarr had 19 in the first half. But they had a brief moment early in that second quarter, midway through the second quarter, when it's like, yeah, they can get control of this game and make it theirs. And instead, they're down 7 at the break, 60-53. It's a bad basketball team. They're going to let you hang around. The Blazers get a nice little third quarter from Shaedon Sharpe. He has 7. Toumani Camara has 8, hits a couple threes. They cut down the turnovers, just 2 in the quarter, and they go into the fourth quarter up 1. They had been crushing the offensive glass. 22 rebounds through 3 quarters, and that has given them 9 more shooting possessions, but it's offset by 15 turnovers. If they aren't turning the ball over so frequently in this first 3 quarters, the fact that they're just absolutely monstering the Wizards in the offensive glass, and Donovan Clingan sets a franchise record with 13 offensive rebounds in this game, and he also got pulled at crunch time. The dude is owning the glass, and at the end of the game, they had to take Donovan Clingan off the court. It just speaks to sort of their warts were so their struggles were so loud that even the things they were doing well didn't matter that much. So they get to the fourth quarter, and Deni Avdija hits a 3-pointer off an offensive rebound from Clingan. You may recall that they were mashing the offensive glass. Clingan gets an offensive rebound, kicks out to Deni. Deni hits a 3. 3:53 left. Blazers up 4, 104-100. They'd go 3 for 10 after that make by Deni. 3 for 10 over the final 3:50 in the game. They couldn't quite hold on to it. Immediately they gave up an and one to Bub Carrington. Drew Holiday misses a floater. It's just a shot that he can make, but it's not a great possession. Keyshawn George hits a huge 3. Then Deni misses a little pull-up when it's just a hard shot that he doesn't really take. He spins, can't get past Keyshawn George, spins and kind of puts up a tough mid-range jumper. Clingan misses a putback attempt and then fouls Keyshawn George fighting for the offensive rebounds. Fouls him 94 feet from the rim and puts him on the free throw line. From up 4... you give up an and one, you give up a 3. It was a tough 3 from Keyshawn George. He has an off-the-dribble 3, but it is what it is. You give up the free throws. It's a little 8-0 spurt over the 90 seconds, and all of a sudden you're down 4, and the Blazers come down and have a terrible offensive possession, a no-pass possession where Drew misses a turnaround jumper in the middle of the paint. Gets into the paint, that's nice. Drew Holiday's pretty good at getting into the paint, doesn't get all the way to the rim. He can make that shot, but it's just you don't pass, literally 0 passes on the possession. You're not forcing the defense to guard multiple times. I don't love the process. But Blazers don't go away. They get a stop on the other end. Toumani Camara gets it, drives. Jeremy Grant blocks a Keyshawn George 3-point attempt. Nice defense from Jeremy. At this point, they've gone small. And Jeremy Grant blocks a 3-point attempt. Toumani Camara gets a driving layup off of as the ball comes back out to him when they do actually pass the ball in this possession. And drives past Alex Sarr, makes a righty layup, nice bucket, 2-point game. But then immediately, 13 seconds later, Bub Carrington hits a floater and it's back to 4. And so they couldn't get stops. They had some bad offensive possessions, and then you get here for the final 90 seconds, right? Down 4, 90 seconds left. Got to figure out how to win the game. And this was a huge possession and just sort of the turning this game into desperation. Drew again drives all the way, just probes, drives all the way in, baseline, and gets blocked at the rim, gets his own rebound. So it's basically a no-pass possession again from Drew Holiday. Gets all the way, gets his own rebound, cycles the ball back out, off the getting a shot block rebound. Deni gets the ball at the top of the key and tries to drive, and he gets stripped right there at midcourt. He gets stripped, right there at the elbow, right there as he tries to get into the paint. Keyshawn George waiting for him. Good play. Strips Deni on the drive. It's a 4-point game. He pushes the other way. They have to foul in transition. Jeremy Grant fouls him, so he doesn't make a layup. Keyshawn George hits both. It's now a 6-point game with a minute left. Huge possession. And bad process. A no-pass possession and then a turnover. Those are just big plays. Blazers get saved, though, because freaking Shaedon Sharpe who's their best player on the court tonight, hits his 5th 3, steps into a massive one with 54 seconds left, cuts it to a 3-point game. Blazers actually get the ball back with after Wizards miss with 30 seconds left, and Shaedon Sharpe, after the Wizards take a foul, Shaedon Sharpe drives and dunks to cut the lead to 1. 1-point game, but shot clock's off, so the Blazers have to foul. They foul Keyshawn George. He splits the free throws. It is a 2-point game. The Blazers are going to have the ball with 15 and a half seconds left. Their process has been pretty bad in the final 3 minutes. Their execution has been pretty bad in the final 3 minutes, but they're going to get the ball down 2 on the road with a chance to sort of absolve themselves of their sins of this entire game. And Shaedon Sharpe gets the rock and goes to work. Shaedon Sharpe absolutely earned this opportunity. He was the Blazers' best player on the floor. He had a huge three when they just needed a bucket, and he had blown past his man for a pretty defensive effort from the Wizards on the prior possession. But like, he absolutely had earned the right to do this. I don't think you want to bring a screen, because Shaedon Sharpe's not going to operate well off screens. He's not a passer like that. This is just a go get it type of play for him. I don't really have an issue with the play itself, like the design. Trust Shaedon Sharpe, a tough shot maker, a guy who can create his own shot, to go get a shot he wants. He's got Jameer Watkins on him. It's like the Wizards' two-way player, former Florida State guard on him, and he's like, this is a player Shea should be able to at least get a shot off against. And he gets to a spot where he can make a shot. He gets to the middle of the free throw line and gets to a spot where he can make a shot. This is a makeable shot for Shaedon Sharpe, except that Jameer Watkins is sitting on it. He is sitting on the pull-up. He knows exactly what Shea wants to do. And so it turns into a impossibly difficult shot that he hoisted up with 9 seconds left. Once he got there and the defender's on top of him, you got to make another play. You either got to keep your dribble alive and pass the ball, or you got to pump fake, and kick the ball out and cycle back and get a shot. Like, it's just, that was it. I didn't mind the play. I don't mind the spot that Shea gets to. That is a makeable shot for him. He's money in the mid-range, money on pull-ups. But when the defender knows what you're doing and beats you there and is on top of what you want to do, just like I thought he forced too hard of a shot. Blazers have to foul. Chris Middleton hits some free throws. Blazers lose 115-111. That's your fastest recap in the West. Let's talk more about this game in the second segment, because it was messy. It was a little messy. There's plenty to unpack. Join me in that second segment, won't ya?
I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage. We got tuition. We got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LocdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LocdownNBA. That's ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
Today's show is also brought to you by the YMCA of Columbia-Willamette, where they want you to find your play, because everyone deserves to find their place to play, because play connects us, strengthens us, and brings our community together through the 3 pillars at the Y: youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. The Y is your local nonprofit helping people of all ages move, grow, and belong across the Portland and Vancouver metro area. So check them out. You'll find 6 courts and a full fitness center at the Beaverton Family Y. You'll find families swimming or playing pickleball at the Clark County and Sherwood YMCAs, family activities all year long, brand new workout equipment at all 3 branches, and so much more. And with YMCA camps, childcare, and enrichment sites throughout the region, the Y gives kids safe, fun spaces to learn, play, and build confidence all year long. I am a child of YMCA camps. I grew up going to YMCA sports camp most of my youth, probably all of elementary school. I am, as an adult, a member of my local YMCA. I'm out there finding my play, and if you want to find your play, you can do that right there at the Y. Visit ymcacw.org/pod. That's ymcacw.org/pod. or follow them on YouTube and Instagram at YMCA CW. All right. Thanks for making this show your first listen. If you are truly an everyday listener, go join the Locked On Everydayer Club. It's a place where you can get ad-free version of this here podcast, plus access to the members-only Discord. And with the trade deadline less than a week away, the Everydayer Club is also a great place to chit-chat about trades and the latest rumors. So how about this? I got a deal for you. If you sign up by the trade deadline, which is February 5th, you can use the code deadline and you get your first month free of the Everydayer Club. Otherwise, $5 a month, $50 a year. The link is in the show notes, lockedonblazers.supercast.com. Okay, let's talk more about this bad basketball game. You know what? It wasn't that long ago that the Blazers were winning all the time. We weren't talking about bad basketball games, but such is life here on Locked On Blazers. Good, bad, and otherwise, we are going to sort through all of it. So let's sort through this one a little bit. First of all, Shaedon Sharpe was the Blazers' best player. 31 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. Not exactly this monster box score game. Had another 2 steals. Dude is getting steals this year. Hits 5 threes. The last shot was tough, and he made it. It was harder than it needed to be. Like, he should have just bailed on it. As soon as Watkins was just like, was sitting right there on top of it, knowing, like, with a hard contest, the ball barely grazes the front rim from about, 14 and a half feet. Do something else. But prior to that moment, Shea had been very good in this game. And it was a nice bounce back. He was pretty bad against the Celtics. He was the Blazers' best player. Deni was not good, though. He wasn't. He's like I said, he's missed 5 of the last 7 games. Missed a couple in a row, or like 2.5 in a row. I don't know if it's the back, but he just had he hasn't had many of these where he just kind of looks very human, like very, very, just like very pedestrian. 12 boards, he was all over the glass, but 17 points on 6 of 14 shooting, 6 turnovers, not a ton of playmaking. Like, the Blazers shot well, 14 of 38 from 3 is like 37%. That's well above what they usually shoot. Shout out to Tom Haberstroh. He probably has a stat about this particular very specific shooting percentage in the Blazers record when they shoot 36.8% from the floor. But not a great Deni playmaking game. When he has been an excellent playmaker, their best playmaker this year probably. Maybe that some of that is rust and working his way back. Maybe he just had a bad night. Sometimes players play poorly. It's like you're going to have a bad night every so often. I don't think this is like a notably poor game, but it was like, when Deni came back last time from his back injury, he was just phenomenal. He had like 15 in the first quarter. He had 20 points, 5 boards, 5 assists in the first half. It's like, oh, he's fine. Maybe I'm kind of missing the mark in what my sort of expectations with his like physical capabilities are right now, but just I assumed if he was available and starting, he could play. He ended up playing 31 minutes. That's probably like just the number of minutes he played, 30 minutes and 44 seconds. That ain't exactly someone who's on like a real minutes restriction. Like, what did they put his minutes restriction at 35? Like, if he's going to play 30 minutes, like that's basically 31 minutes, basically a full workload. A little light maybe for him, but like 2-3 minutes light. He just wasn't very good. Nothing to freak out about. He wasn't very good. I mentioned Klingon, 14 points, 20 rebounds, 13 on the offensive glass, a Blazers franchise record. But he was 6 of 17 from the floor. He had 14 points and 13 missed field goals. And they had to, in the final 5 minutes of the game, like, he commits a foul on an offensive rebound, like just at like that 2.5 minute mark. And they pulled him from the game. They pulled him from the game over the final 2.5 minutes. They had to take him off the court at crunch time because they needed something else. They needed offense. They needed to be easier, and he wasn't. And they weren't getting stops with him out there. I thought Alex Sarr had a pretty good box. Honestly, here's my actual experience watching Alex Sarr tonight. I said, wow, I didn't realize he had 19 points in the first half. That's a lot. I'm like taking notes in the game. I'm like, that's a lot. I feel like he didn't have that good of a game. And then at the end of the game, I was like, man, Alex Sarr was good. And then I looked at the box score and he had 29 field goal attempts. And I said, oh, Okay, never mind. He was just prolific. He just had a lot of opportunity. But like, the Wizards didn't hit the threes like they did in the first half. In the second half, they were 11 of 20 in the first half from three. They were 6 of 19 in the second half. They calmed down a bunch, but Keyshawn George hit a really timely three, and because the Blazers turned the ball over so much. Oh, I didn't even mention this. Deni also just like he weirdly just missed free throws. He was 2 of 6 from free throws and didn't get to the free throw line in the fourth quarter. A weird night. The Blazers turned the ball over 20 times. Collectively, they were 13 of 23 from the free throw line. 10 missed free throws, 20 turnovers in a game you lose by 4 to the worst team in the league. Like, this is why I'm calling it their worst game of the year. It's just like, it is what it is. Drew Holiday really struggled, 2 of 14, and I thought he really just tried to say, okay, I'm going to get us there. I'm going to get us there in the fourth quarter, and he just didn't have it. Some positives. How about some positives before we flush this game? I thought Ryan Rupert played a pretty dang good game, and particularly with a couple stints in the middle quarters, the second and third quarters, like gave the Blazers like some really good energy. I thought his energy in the second quarter right away came and kind of gave them a nice little boost. Like I thought that was solid from him. Like I thought those were meaningful minutes. And then he hit a 3 in the fourth quarter, and he obviously went on the game in crunch time. But I thought, like, Roops, if you're looking for a silver lining, Roops gave the Blazers some solid minutes. 10 points in 19 minutes, hit both his threes. He had made a 3 in 5 games, hadn't made a 3 since January 15th, almost 2 weeks without a three-pointer. Obviously, he doesn't get a lot of opportunity, but he's usually taking open ones, and he was missing them. So good to see those go in. And another light positive in this game, I thought Young Hansen played 12 minutes, and I thought he was a mostly functional, like, very reasonable backup center minutes for him. His defensive positioning still kind of drives me wild. It just seems like he gets up too high, or he's way too low on sort of like feeling out where to be on pick and rolls. But this was not so like, while maybe my own sort of basketball brain is like, I thought he was mostly like just a positive. I thought he played. He gave them solid, totally functional 12 minutes. Those are your silver linings. Roops and Hansen, totally reasonable contributors in a game where otherwise they stunk. Shaedon Sharpe was good. He just missed a shot at the end of the game. Here's where I'm at. A few days ago, when the Blazers were winning basketball games, a week ago, there was this idea that's like, folks were emailing me, like, asking me 2 things about trades. And I'll share them both with you in the third segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's program is brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life this year. TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert, either in person or connect with them online, and they're going to handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction you deserve. You can upload your documents and go about your day and get the updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing that an expert is handling it for you. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file your taxes last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Today's program is also brought to you by FanDuel. Y'all know FanDuel, and y'all probably also know the Super Bowl. It's the final chance to get in on NFL action before the season officially comes to close. Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. That's right, our neighbors to the north, the Seattle Seahawks, favorites in the Super Bowl. Or maybe you want to bet on the Dogs with former Tar Heel great Drake May leading them along. Or you want to build one last same game parlay. This is the game everyone's been waiting for, where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. Plus, the game's super long because there's a bunch of commercials. It's a perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the NFL season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right. Still pass first point guard, still Mike Richmond, still listen to Locked On Blazers. Okay. I was getting into this before the break, and then I realized that we were running a little long. God, I was missing my ad breaks. And I'm a man who's trying to hit the brakes on time, trying to do right by the people who helped me do this podcast. But here's where I'm at with trades. A week ago, 10 days ago, Blazers winning games, hooping, getting over 500. Feels like, the wins, they're finally catching wind in their sails, and it's like, okay, they're good. And I would get two types of emails, maybe some YouTube comments too, but I'm gonna be honest. The emails is where I put a little more stock, and in the Locked On and the Locked On Blazers Discord channel. If you join the Everydayer Club, get in the Discord channel. I'm in there. I'm chatting. You can chat with me. You got to join the club, but you can chat with me. I'm in there. Ask your friends. The two types of emails I would get are sort of either Blazers, don't mess with a good thing. Don't mess with a good thing. They got a good thing going. I wouldn't mess with it. You'd be better off just letting Matisse Thybulle and Rob Williams walk at this point, because this thing works. It works. And why, don't break a thing. Don't try to fix it if it ain't broke. That's what I was looking for. And then the other trade was like, the other idea I get from folks is like, should they go all in? Is this team good? Should they just like swing big and go all in? Go all in. And I would say now, lose a couple games in a row and feel, lose 3 straight, lose to the Wizards. I haven't checked the email inbox prior to pressing record on this. And it's fairly late at night on Tuesday. You listen to January 28th show. So I will after I finish up with this show. But I assume now that like when you lose, the panic sort of sets in, that it's like, they got it. This does not work. Blah, blah, blah. And like, that's just the nature of fandom, right? But here's where I'm at with the Blazers. I think they need to explore making a move at the trade deadline period. I would, if folks are interested, I don't think they'll trade Jrue Holiday. I think there's like basically no chance they're going to do that. But if teams are legitimately interested in trading for Jrue Holiday, hear them out. Figure out what type of value you can get for him. Not just because like, and that value can be multiple things, right? That value can be, could you get better in order to have a better chance to be a team that makes the playoffs this year and is better moving forward? And if you make the playoffs, you kind of end your debt to the Bulls. It frees up chances to make maybe bigger trades down the line in like the immediate future this summer. Like there's some benefit to them making the playoffs. Or if, depending on what sort of value is out there for Jrue, and I don't think it would be in another direction, but if it is, and it's like someone who's not going to benefit this, as much as be as good as Jrue has been. He's been good. And he's not the only trade piece. I'm just using him as an example because I think he is at least somewhat appealing. Albeit expensive over the next 2 seasons, and that might make him way less appealing, right? But if it's someone who is going to be a mild downgrade from Jrue, but make it more likely that you're better in 26, 27, like next season, explore that as well. Here's how I feel, is that I think the Blazers are actually in a place where there's no reason for them to get worse, actively worse. But there is a point where you have to come, look in the mirror and say, like, we're pretty good this year. We feel like we can get there, but our goal is to be the best team we can beat the following season. So whether that's trading Jeremy Grant or trading Jrue Holiday or what have you, like, I am in favor of the Blazers being aggressive and trying to improve the roster in the immediate, not like a swing, not like the biggest swing you can make, although that'd be fun. But like, I'm in favor of them trying to improve the roster in the immediate. And I am in favor of them, exploring deals that would maybe not make them immediately better, but could benefit them in the relatively short term, like would be useful in the fall. when the next season starts. And so that's kind of the mixture of the two types of emails I've received, right? I am not of the belief that they're set it and forget it. I do not. I think, well, that might be what they do, and I'm not going to be like super upset if they do nothing. This isn't a trade deadline where they absolutely have to make a deal. I don't actually think that, but it is. I think it's important that they look into all of their options, because they're imperfect, but they're not like bad, right? They're just on the lower end of the competitive teams, right? And they are, they need more shooting. They probably could use another ball handler. But those are probably their biggest needs. If they could find some sort of magic that would allow them to be a slightly better defensive rebounding team, maybe that would help. But if you have to sacrifice shooting and playmaking for that type of player, then that's not worth it. Just punt on that. Shoot a little bit better is probably the immediate priority. So, well, I think there is like a sort of the nature of fandom that says like, oh, now that they're struggling, then like you consider sort of like, going the other direction and thinking about the long term, or you say like you have to make a trade to get better because you're just not any good. I don't feel I'm sort of unmoved by the stretch of games in terms of my outlook on this team. I think their floor this year is 10th, and if they can find a deal out there that improves their like realistic ceiling that isn't too expensive, I'd be very much into it. If that is just like trying to loop themselves into a Giannis trade and benefit from whatever that might look like, yeah, like go off. I'm all about it. But I think. I think the Blazers can go any direction at the trade deadline. I really do. I think heading into this where they are, they can, other than like a true teardown, because they're just not going to do that. But I think they can think long term, like medium term, I should say, like short to medium term, or they can like try to make an immediate upgrade to get better for this season. And either direction would be, I think, relatively reasonable. Obviously, caveat at being depending on cost. But I am like unmoved. I'm not freaking out at all about these losses. Teams have bad stretches. They had a really good stretch. They're having a bad stretch right now. Friday's a big one against the Knicks. We will have more shows later this week, unpacking more of the latest rumors as we get closer to a week out from trade deadline, looking ahead to the Knicks games, all types of fun stuff. It's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.